Welcome to another Turn 'em Sideways channel video. We are going to be doing the set review of Spiritforged, and I've got Prismaticism here to walk me through everything. Pris, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going quite good. Recently came back from some events and diving into set 2 now. Looking forward to Bologna and Vegas.
Now it is time for us to jump into the calm domain, so let's just get right to it with the first card. And it is going to be an Azir card to kick things off. Desert's Call, 2 energy, repeat 2, play a 2 might sand soldier unit token. Immediately, I think unplayable garbage in anything not named Azir, and then staple one of the better cards in the deck for Azir. And I'll give it a 4. I think it's quite powerful because the tokens have Weapon Master in Azir, and they'll pick up the stuff that's been left over from the early game.
I think I might even give it a 5. The specific reason for that is it is a 2-drop that also has better value later on into the game when you pay the repeat cost, and then it gives you access in green to multiple units out of one card, which is a fact that it doesn't have before now.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Yeah, very, very strong card. Disarming Rake, 3 might, 1 power, 2 3 energy, 1 power, 2 might. When you play me, you may kill a gear. This is just a gear destruction, unconditional gear destruction on a body. That body is pretty bad for just 2 might, but I don't hate it as green gear destruction. I think I prefer it over Adaptatron. So it is a reasonable tech piece, but it is not main deckable in my mind. So I'll give it a 3 as a pretty reasonable tech piece if you need gear destruction in green.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 3. I think Adaptatron is actually underrated in set 1, but this is a better effect. And then being attached to a unit does mean that if you manage to put it back in your hand, you can maybe get the effect multiple times. And it's also harder to interact with on a unit rather than a spell.
All right. Up next is Dorne's Shield. For me, so this one for Azir is a 5, and then everywhere else, you probably just don't want this because it's not good enough. It's so weird. All these green gear, you have to have this Azir lens where it's this becomes what this actually reads is 2 energy, 3 might tank unit, which is a 5. That's just a 5 in Azir. So I guess I'll just give it its 5 because it's an Azir card and no one else probably wants to play it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5 too. One other thing too is being a 1-mana equipment later on when you have bigger equipment in play, like say a BF sword. When you play this and then create the token, then you're creating a 5 might instead of just a 3 might tank. So it's a 2-drop, and then it leaves behind the equipment, which is worth more later on when you make sand soldiers. Other than out of Azir's effect, if you have excess, equip this as an excess equipment, and then also with bigger equipment in play.
All right, Feral Strength, 2 energy, reaction, repeat, give a unit +2 this turn. So it's your discipline without card draw, but it has the ability to be +4 if you have the extra energy to dump. I'm pretty low on this card because it's competing with slots with discipline and on guard, unless you want more of that effect. And I just don't, it's just not as efficient as those cards, right? Yes, it has the upside of being 2 disciplines in your hand for 1 card, but I'm just not, I'm not feeling it. It's a 2 for me. It's not unplayable, but I just don't like it.
Yeah, since discipline exists, I guess it's worth putting it at 2. The extra card out of discipline is so strong, and out of combat tricks, you generally want them to be cheap and then be a smaller swing. They don't need to be too big because you're really just trying to either get your unit just above their unit or get your unit just above the removal spell, or then just counter their trick that they played to just get over you.
Yep.
But without the card draw, you run out of cards quickly, and you don't really want to spend 4 mana for 4 might. A bit inefficient.
And I'm the Sona guy. I love Sona in my green decks, and I don't even like this card, which lines up perfectly with the 4 energy you get back from Sona. I don't even like it, so I don't know. Guardian of the Passage is our next one. 6 energy, 6 might. When I hold, you may return a unit or gear from your trash to your hand. Yeah, it's just too expensive. It's a 1 for me. I don't want to play this card.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 as well. Holding is hard in this game. Even Master Yi doesn't really want this. He's got better things to do.
Yeah. If it said spell, maybe I'm more interested. But unit or gear, I don't know. I probably don't want it. Lonely Poro, 2 energy, 2 might. Death Knell, if I died alone, draw 1. This is theoretically just a power corrupt watchful sentry, actually, because you are very often getting the draw trigger on this. I actually really like this as a new 2-drop. I don't know if it is a 2-drop good enough to deserve a 5, but it is a 4. It is a good 2-drop. I really like this for green.
I think I'm going to give this a 5. This is what you want 2-drops to do, where they come down and then they're going to give you value no matter what. And just in general, you don't stack units too often. I guess if he dies in your base while there's other units there, then that's the most common way he'd lose value. But Master Yi especially, it's just, you play him early, he's just going to sit there and hold, and then when one kills him, you're not even sad. He's going to get some points in.
Oh, I'm sad because I had to watch him die, but I'm not sad because I draw a card. And Navori Scout is just going to be a vanilla 4/4 with deflect. It's just, I think there's just better cards. I think we have enough cards in the game now that you don't need to play cards like this. And so I'll just give it a 1. I think deflect is a good keyword, but it's not good enough to be like, I want to play this vanilla unit with just deflect as a keyword.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2. I'm a professional Kiana hater, so I do think this is a better card than her without the power cost attached to it. I think that Kiana's conquerability is just bait. Where you're taking the rune back that you spent on her the first time she conquers, so it's just tough to make her work. I think people talk about deflect a lot, countering Kaisa, stuff like that. I think deflect is good, but it's not completely crazy. Like, oh, you need to have deflect, especially going into set 2. It doesn't seem like to be as many decks that are going to be targeting the opponent's stuff as often.
More unit combat with the equips, yeah. Next up, Ribbon Dancer. When I move to a battlefield, give another friendly unit +1 this turn. Yeah, again, I mean, it's just a little too vanilla for me. I'm not excited about the card. I don't really want to put it in my deck over other cards. And 3-drops in general have this weakness of they need to be really good to want to play them because they're not a turn 1 play going first. And like they're not really good at curving on your turn 2 if you're going first as well. Like they're only really much better when you're going second, and then sometimes they have some decent spots to curve out, but yeah, 3s are a little bit awkward in the early stages of the game. They have to be really good for me to want to play them, so I'm gonna say 1.
Yeah, I'll give this a 1 too. I think this is probably the worst of the 3-drops that has this like move to a battlefield effect. I would probably say it's worse than, I think, Crackshot Corsair, which is the orange one that does 1 damage to a unit there. This is even less likely to get value.
Royal Entourage, 3 energy and a power for 4 might, so already the rate is kind of fine. When you play me, ready or exhaust a legend, which is a very interesting, like, unique ability. Because it is at, like, slow speed, often, if you're exhausting your opponent's legend, they're just going to untap it on their turn. But this is, like, a very hard counter to set, being able to exhaust his legend and then just kill his unit. And then for yourself, I mean, Azir legend you could ready, which is kind of decent, but that means you'd have to play a gear, play Azir legend, play Royal Entourage, then do it again. I think this card has potential, especially because the stats on it are fine, right? This is a 3/4. This is the kind of 3-drop where, the effect is something that if I want this effect, I'm pretty happy to play this at the body and at the cost. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3 as well. Maybe it's a sideboard card for now, specifically against set. The one issue, you can't exhaust like a Kaisa or Ornn. They could just activate them in response and float the resource for the rest of the turn. So if you're going to play this in your main deck, you have to have a legend that you want to activate yourself. And this is quite expensive. Or if you're going to play this and ready your own Ornn or your own Kaisa, but say your own Ornn, you just get the power back that you spent on it. So It's not that great.
Yep, definitely another card that kind of we'll look at in the future and see, are there a lot more spots where it's good. Thwonk. This is a 2 energy stun an attacking unit, has repeat. Really interesting thing here is stunning an attacking unit versus Rune Prison, which can stun any unit. You would think this is probably just worse, but I think that most decks that include stun pretty much only want to use it on defense to stop a massive buffed unit from coming in and wiping them out. So I think that makes Thwonk a bit better on average than Rune Prison. And then the only deck that maybe still likes Rune Prison more is Leona, and even then, there's an argument that Thwonk is still just a better Rune Prison. I'll give it a 4. I think this card's really good. I think it's a really solid card.
I'll give it a 4 as well. It costs less than Rune Prison without the power cost. And again, yeah, stunning, you mostly use it when you're defending and in the late game to stop your opponent's tricks. The one note that I'll add is that when you get to the late game, you also don't mind the power cost as much, so it's not as big of a difference. You're not going to be playing this card early on to stun like a 2-drop fight into another 2-drop. That's not worth it.
Yep, that's a good point. Yep. Up next is Apprentice Smith. This is another 2-drop with some new text. When I move, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a gear, draw it. Otherwise, recycle it. You need a pretty big density of gear to make this feel really good. And at this point, Lonely Poro is an option in green, so you have to kind of consider, is this going to be better than that Lonely Poro in a lot of cases, which is always, not always, but probably always drawing a card. I think it's just worse than Poro. It's not that bad, though. It's kind of okay if your deck has a lot of gear in it because it has additional text. Maybe I'll give it a 3. It's not like a bad 2-drop. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3 as well. If half your deck is gear, it's going to draw you a half a card every time it triggers, which is not bad, but competing with Lonely Poro and even Clockwork Keeper, it's tough in the green color.
Yep. It's nice that it's when I move, though, so you could get 2 triggers out of it, potentially. Like, reasonably, you can get 2 triggers. You should expect 1, but sometimes you'll get 2. And if you get 2, you might get 3, which is, crazy. Like, 1 or 3 are kind of what you see often out of that. Up next is Brutalizer. This is a 2 energy for 1, but if it was attached to me this turn, I get +2. So it's kind of just like a cleave on board for a power in green, which is reasonable, right? You just kind of attach for +3. It doesn't feel as good when it's sticking, like once it's equipped to something, you need it to kind of die, or you need to weapon master it away for it to start to feel good. And if the unit doesn't enter ready, it has some struggles. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, but when it is just sitting on your board, it's one of the better equips to just be sitting around. So I guess it's a 3 for that.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3 as well. It's not going to do anything completely insane, but the +1 that's left over on your unit, it does make it harder for your opponent to clear it off the battlefield, and they do want to clear it. They don't want to just leave you sitting there with units. Like, you're happy if this sits there and scores a point, and then you don't get access to it for pushing the next turn.
Yep. Good enough. The next one is going to be Emperor's Divide. This is a card that I have struggled to evaluate. It is a 2 energy hidden. Action speed, move any number of friendly units out of battlefield to their base. So this is action speed flash or reaction if it's hidden. But it's for any number instead of just 2. It's like, when do I want to play this? I want to assault. Like, I want to be like an aggressive deck that doesn't hold well to try and save a bunch of material. But then do I want to spend a card for that effect? I don't know, Priz. This feels like I'm just going to give it a 2 and I'm going to be wrong about it. So I'm going to give it a 2 and I'll be wrong about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's that good.
Well. I think these kinds of effects, if you come from other games, they look like absolute unplayable garbage, but specifically in Riftbound, they can actually be quite strong, like a card like Flash or Fight or Flight. The problem is in green, you have Zhonya's. So that basically does the same effect whether hidden or played, bringing 1 unit back to your base from battlefield, and your opponent has to kill it. So unless you're saving several units at a time, I'm not sure why you would want this card. Or trying to move from one battlefield to the other, that's the only other thing.
Yeah, using it for pivots actually do make a lot of sense for green. So I'll give it that. That is...
And
I'll think about it more.
You don't really build wide boards except for Azir, but Azir has his legend, which we'll get to later on.
I'll stick with my 2 and I'll think about that card more. It might be good, but I don't know. Up next is Legion Quartermaster. As an additional cost to play, you return a friendly gear to its owner's hand. This is a 3 for a 4. I've said my piece about 3s. They have to be pretty good to want it. The stats are at least good, but you do have to bounce one of your own gear, which generally is negative in specifically Azir. It does enable you to play it later and get another Sand Soldier. So it's reasonable to go there. Question is it good enough to make that list? I'm not convinced. I'll give it a 2. I'm not convinced on it, but I don't think it's like that bad of a card.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 2. It's really expensive trying to combo this with Azir. There are other ways you can make Sand Soldiers that are cheaper and have a lot less work involved, and it's a fake 3. You can't play it on your first turn ever.
Yep. All right, next up is Not So Fast. This is counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear at reaction speed. 2 energy, 1 power. It's 5. I don't know. This is a really phenomenal counter spell that was given to that was given to green. Again, I mean, obviously green is the color of counter spells, but this is just way better than Wind Wall and Mystic Reversal 99 times out of 100 times. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. There's obviously this can't counter any spells that are not targeting. You can't counter Time Warp. You can't counter that kind of stuff, but it's very powerful.
Yeah, I'll put it at a 5 as well. It bridges the gap between Defy and Windwall, where it can counter a lot of the things that Defy couldn't, but without paying the massive cost of Windwall. And yeah, there are a few cards that you're not going to be able to cover. You might still want to keep 1 Windwall or 1 Mystic Reversal on hand for those, but this is going to be something you could actually play 2 or 3 copies of in your deck and not be unhappy about at all.
Yep. Yeah, if you still got to beat Warp, you still got to bring your Wind Walls or anything like that, but outside of that, yeah. Poro snax. When you play this, draw 1, and then 1 energy, 1 power, tap it to kill it and draw 1. I mean, this is an Ornn card. This is just an Ornn draw 2. Don't have to pay too much overall. You pay like an energy each turn, so 2 turn clock to pay an energy each turn to draw 2 cards. It feels like a staple for Ornn. Feels quite good. I'll give it a 4. I'm not like crazy over this card, but I think it's good, and I think it'll go in most Ornn decks.
I mean, I'll give it a 5 because I think it's auto-include in his deck. It is like a 2 mana draw 2, which you split up the cost, and then it has the also upside where it's a gear sitting in play, which can have some combos. True. Like with Legion Quartermaster, you put it back in your hand, get an extra draw. And then one other thing that's carries over from other games is being able to pay for these costs split up over turns, especially just one energy, which is the smallest cost you could pay, means that you really get to choose and fill in this to your curve and just spend that single point of mana you wouldn't be able to otherwise. And the power cost, it is going to tap your Ornn, but the one up benefit of this is if you have other cards to play then that you want to spend the power on, you just play those first. You really activate this again when you're out of cards to play, and then you find something to do. Yep,
actually that's a really great point. I'm convinced it's a 5. I'm convinced it's definitely a 5. All right, let's grab the next one. That is going to be Simian Ancestor. When you buff me, ready me. What's funny is these kind of cards I actually think can be really good in like Lee Sin, right? When you just kind of have access to that buff at all times. He's pretty expensive at 5 energy, 1 power, but at 5 might, then you get the buff, so he'd basically be a 6 energy, 1 power for 6 might accelerate in Lee Sin. But also tap your Lee Sin, but then you can be readied later. It's like one of those uncommons that I think could potentially find a home in a deck with a lot of buffs, especially if you can do multiple buffs per turn to kind of pivot him around. He's maybe too high costed though. I want to give him a 3, but I really don't like the cost. He's really expensive. I'll give him a 2.
Sure.
His cost breaks it for me.
One issue with him, when a unit has a buff, I don't think it can receive another buff.
That's true. You have to be able to spend the buffs too.
I don't think that you can ready him again unless you get the buff off of him. Yeah. It's going to specifically take like Call to Glory and Wallop are the 2 cards that can do that.
Yep.
So without those, this is just an accelerate unit. I'd put it at a 1.
Yeah, you're right. No, that is a good point. This is like in the future it can get better, but in the future we should have better cards. Yeah. Like we better not be wanting to play this.
Wallop already spends a buff to ready a unit, so then you're going to accelerate him out, I guess, then spend his buff, ready something else, and then buff him again.
Yeah, you're right. It's a 1. It's a 1. Stellacorn Herder. When I move, draw 1, 4 energy, 3 mites. I mean, this is a good effect. It's like being able to get the draw. When I looked at this card, I kind of thought it might be bait because I do think like the might is super low. But if you are comboing it with stuff or buffing it up and you can move it in and then maybe bring it back with Yasuo or move it in, give it a buff, ready it for Irelia and then move it back. Like not give it a buff, but target it with something, ready it and move it back. You start to kind of get a little out of hand on the Stellacorn Herder. So I will give it a 4. I think it's possible this is actually a 5 and I just haven't I haven't put a ton of work into green yet, personally. So, but I think it'll be a 4. Maybe it's a 5 if really these like purple green decks can just abuse the hell out of it.
I'll give it a 4 as well. I'm not sure how much Irelia needs this for card draw. There are a lot of options that she has access to for card draw, but even in a deck like Master Yi, again, I hate Kiana. I think this is a better card than Kiana. And going into set 2 meta, I think Kaisa probably will be less common, which means Falling Star is going to be less common. So this is going to get to draw you one card a lot more of the time.
Yep. All right, up next is aphelios. When you attach an equipment to me, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Ready 2 runes, channel 1 rune exhausted, or buff a friendly unit. He does have a power cost, so it is, one of those turn 2 plays that does have that power on top of it. If you're attaching multiple equips per turn, you would get a refund from one of the equips for the channel, and then there's a buff and then ready 2 runes, but that's really power intensive to do everything. Sometimes ready 2 runes is probably really good. I don't know. It feels really tough to make this card super good. But I also don't see it as being like that bad, and it's in Jax's colors, which definitely improves it. Because when you're not paying the equip cost of the gear, it's a little bit better. I'll say it's a 3. I don't think Aphelios is that bad, but it's certainly not something I'm looking at as being like busted.
Yeah, I'll give him a 3 as well. I think specifically in Jax or Ornn, where you're cheating the equip costs and then you can start ramping you. He reminds me of Kiana. At least he's more flexible.
You're seeing like Kiana here. Yeah.
It's just, I see her everywhere I look.
I love that you're a big Kiana hater, because I think a lot of people on this channel, myself included, do like Kiana as a card, and especially I think Pastry Time is like the biggest Kiana hater in the other way. He thinks Kiana is like way too good. So it's very funny to have you here as like the resident Kiana. Like, this card sucks. Like, I hate this Kiana card. I absolutely love it. All right. Up next is Azir Ascendant. This has an action to spend a calm power to choose a unit you control, move me to its location and it to my original location if it's equipped. You may attach one of its equipment to me. Use this only once per turn. It's cool. Kind of add this like Shurima shuffle thing. It has this pseudo accelerate where you can if you have a ready unit, you can play Azir Ascendant, move the ready unit in, and then swap them. To have more might kind of move in. But I think he's really high power costed and kind of just like too cute. And then you also just have access to yellow Azir, and I wouldn't want to main deck this, so it would be like a champ zone idea, but I'd rather champ zone yellow Azir. And so I'm gonna give this a 2. I'm not that impressed with this card.
I think I don't think he deserves a 4, at least so far from what I've seen, but if you have the biggest unit on the board, he is a huge issue to deal with. Whether that's him or that's another unit you have. Like, it's just this kind of effect where it's no energy cost, and you can just move things around. It's a really big tide turner, and tide turner's great. And then this can just happen several turns in a row. It messes with stuff like fight or flight. And then even if a showdown is happening somewhere else, you can just switch things around. It can have a lot of flexibility. I'll put it at a 3.
All right, we've got Guardian Angel up next. I think this gear is really good. I think it is in a lot of spots it's just better than Zhonya's. Even though yes, you have to pay the power costs to equip it to something. So in that case, like a little bit worse than Zhonya's. And it can't be hidden, so it can't just be like the 1 power cost to put it away. However, it gives you more control of where this revive effect comes through, and it gives this +1, which is not something to scoff at. +1 can actually be quite valuable. So I think even outside of Azir decks, this green gear can actually get played to try and protect your key units that you really need to not just get blown out immediately by a falling star or killed by any other removal. Your kill on sight units, being able to play them and then immediately attach a Guardian Angel to them can be really nice. I'm gonna give this card a 4. I actually really like it.
I'll give it a 3. I think it's worse than Zhonya's. A big part of Zhonya's is the fact that you can hide it, or you can play it in advance, whereas this, you have to play it in advance and then pay what would be the hide cost instead. So unless you're cheating the cost with Ornn or with Jax or getting some kind of equipment or gear synergy out of it, it's just going to be worse overall.
All right, next we've got Heart of Dark Ice. I think this card is amazing. The big thing is like, Irelia just targeting a unit with this to give it +3 and being able to ready it. And I think, just the initial upfront cost is expensive, but +3 every turn. We've already seen some really good success with things like Orb of Deceit, giving the -1 and all those breakpoints it can create. +3 is a much bigger breakpoint, and Irelia being able to ready her units off it is really crazy. So I'll just give it a 5. I think this card is really great.
Yeah, I'll give it as 5 as well. It's just, you get a cleave every turn. It can only be used aggressively, so you are going to need to be pushing and attacking repeatedly. If you fall behind on points, you're going to have some issues. But that's what Irelia wants to do already.
Yep, card makes a lot of sense. Up next, we've got Janna. This is the new Shen for green as well. I just like calling them all Shens, all the reaction speeds, because they're all 3 cost and 1 power, and then the reaction speed. They're all Shens.
Make a full cycle out of it.
Yeah, they're all it's great. It's what the fuck 2 Shens? What the fuck 3 Shens? But yeah, we got reaction speed when you play me, heal your units here, and then move an enemy from here to its base. The first line of text is not commonly gonna be good. Funny that you can play it between reflexive triggers of something like a falling star to save something. But the second line of text, quite good. Just pushing an enemy back and developing a unit. It's like a big fight or flight in green that just gives you a 3 might unit on the board. I actually think Janna's good, but it's going to have the same issues that both Shen and Rengar have, where it's like, sometimes it's just really hard to find a good time to play the card. And this is luckily in Sona's colors, so it does open up a little bit more room for hold decks that want to be Sona based to just play Janna. As much as I, gave Shen like a 5, and I still believe Shen is a really insane card, and Janna may be nearly as good, I think I've waned a little bit on how good I think Shen is. I'm going to give Janna a 3 for now, but she's definitely a good card, and you're going to have situations where you really like her.
Yeah, 3 at the moment is reasonable. She will be better later on, like when the Sona Legend comes out. I think if you're not playing Sona, it's hard to imagine you play this card ever in your deck, really. Especially when you have access to stuns as well, which effectively does the same thing that a fight or flight or this would do.
Up next is Jax Unmatched. Each equipment in your hand has quick draw. This is deflect as well on Jax. The interesting thing with quick draw is, if I'm not mistaken, quick draw is not going to help with like Jax's ability. Like the strength of Jax is that when you have an equipment on the board, you can then just like equip it with your Jax legend and not pay the power costs. Quick draw is still good because you're not paying the power costs, but I'm not that excited to pay 5 and a power cost just for this effect. I'm not. Yeah, I think quick draw is definitely crazy getting reaction speed on everything, and maybe I'm underrating this Jax. But I'm gonna put him as just a 3 or maybe even a 2. I will do 3, but I'm not very impressed with this Jax.
Yeah, I'll put him at a 3 as well. Thing is, there's not too many equipment right now, and especially none that are the craziest high impact. And there's already some equipment that has quick draw by itself, so it's kind of awkward. Like, what are you really going to give quick draw to?
Guardian Angel, I guess. Something like that. It's kind of neat, but even then, not that exciting. Needlessly Large Yordle. This card is really silly. Shield 5 tank. I cost 2 energy, 1 power less for each point you scored from holding this turn. And then he costs 10 and 3 power baseline. I have to imagine this card is unplayable. And it's a 1. But it's... why did they print this? Why? Like, what this card makes me think, why did they print this, Frizz? Like, what is there a combo that they want people playing green Ahri and scoring like 3 points on a turn from holding and then
I don't think
playing it
point would count towards this either.
Would it not? Yeah, does it not count? Yeah, maybe it doesn't even count. Counts as an effect, not even a hold. This card sucks. It's a 1.
I don't know. Gotta ask Riot, how did the cost get so big?
I'm asking somebody why they printed this. Oh god. How did the flavor text? I just saw it, Frizz, goddammit. I just saw it. Alright. Sterak's Gage, 3 energy, 2 power, which is very expensive for a +3 gear, but the attach cost is only 1 power in the future, and it has quick draw. I've actually been pretty impressed with Sterak's, but the cost does prevent it from being a 5. 2 power is such a real cost. You can't just jam this everywhere. But I will give it a 4 because I actually am pretty impressed with Sterak's from what I've seen. And I think being able to freely equip it from either Ornn or Jax does also kind of improve this card as well.
I'll give it a 4 as well. It's an equipment where you're incentivized to, and you're going to end up playing it after you have units in play and when you really need the buff, which is the best time to have it. And then +3, one of the biggest equipment in the game right now. And that really gives you a lot of value out of paying the power cost, even if you have to pay it and you don't have a legend that can give it to you for free.
Yep. Valuable gear for sure. Irelia Fervent. This is when you choose or ready me, give me +1. Has deflect. It's a 5 for 4. In Irelia, when you choose her, you're going to also ready her. So it's basically choose her with something and then +2. If we say that you're playing the Heart of Dark Ice, that's pumps her up to a 9 and readies her, which is pretty crazy in the fact that she doesn't have a power cost baseline to be played. I actually think that in Irelia, this is Irelia champion. That's kind of where it matters the most. She's actually quite good. And I'll give her a 4. I think that this effect ends up being kind of strong enough that you get a lot of value, and then deflect is not nothing. Makes it a little bit annoying to deal with her if you can't deal with her in unit combat.
I'll give her a 4 as well. The deflect is at its best on really big units, and she is probably going to be very big every turn. It's hard to say if she's going to be better or the chosen champion for Irelia. Maybe it'll be like a go first, go second dynamic between the two of them because of their mana costs. But she is going to be massive.
Yep. All right, up next is Ornn Blacksmith, so another champion that can be chosen champion in this set. When you play me or when I hold, look at the top 4 cards of your main deck. You may reveal a gear from among them and draw it, then recycle the rest. The cost, it leaves a bit to be desired, but you would think on average when you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you will reveal a gear, so you will get to draw, depending on how your deck's constructed, but I assume Ornn is going to play a good amount of gear. Not a deck I've tested a ton, just fully going to say that. But that's the point of these review videos. It's kind of like this blind rating of what we think. So my initial thought is this could be reasonable in the chosen champion zone, but we'll see blue Ornn later, which definitely has some good reason to want to be a chosen champion. But if there's a gear that you really need to hunt for in Ornn, I could see Blacksmith making it as just like a way to try and get 4 looks trying to find that gear. And if not, it might just draw another card anyway. It's a 3.
Yeah, I'll give him a 3 as well for now. You do have the Ornn unique signature gear that he has, signature equipment, which you could definitely want to look for. The whole text on him is basically flavor text, and you do need to play a lot of gear in your deck, probably 10 to 15 to be able to hit with him consistently, because if you miss with him, then you're
and he's real bad.
Your cost you paid, yeah.
That's my biggest problem. If you miss, it's just like a really bad card, I think. Yeah. So there, Svellsongur is 3 and 1 energy. Equip is 1 and a power, or 3 energy, 1 power. Equip is 1 and 1 power. As this is attached to a unit, copy that unit's text to this equipment's effect for as long as it is attached to it. So this is gonna be my I give this a 5 because this is, if it's not broken this set, one day this is broken. This is a 5. I mean, there's no world in my brain that this card does not just break in half at some point. So I'll just give it the 5 now.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5 as well. There aren't a ton of combos for it right now, and it is a huge cost to pay for this equipment, but if there is the right unit where duplicating its effect is good enough, then equip it to it, and that's good enough already. You never need to give it to a second unit for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and already we have some combos to try and like double score points with like Yasuo being able to move 3 times and then just score twice, which is powerful. Is that a deck that's actually real? I don't know, but the point is like there's already some like neat game breaking combos that exist. And even at a baseline, you can equip this to like a blue Ornn, and then he just gets like double the he's like deflect 4 and gets double +1 for every gear, which is like also pretty strong. So it has some like already relatively good reasons to play it. Not 5-star reasons to play it, but I think it'll break one day. All right, Tiana Crown Guard. This is a pretty funny card. Really expensive cost, 7 energy, 2 power. Deflect. When I'm at a battlefield, opponents can't score points. Only 4 might for a lot of cost. Do you see a spot where this ends up being crazy? I mean, I'm seeing you just deny your opponent the hold win, and then you have like a chance to counter win off of it. But it's real tough. I star rating. I want to just give it a. I just want to give it a 1. That cost is just so high, but I think there's probably some room for this or some deck where it counters it and it's worth playing. But I can't find it.
Yeah, I think I might give her a 1 as well. I don't know why she's so small. She's going to get dealt with very easily. Like, she's going to deny 1 point at most to the opponent and then get answered in some way or another. And green, you're not going to be able to protect her too well with that big of a cost. Best you could do is maybe a Zonya's, which then she's off the battlefield. Your opponent's already happy with it.
Yeah, I think the context for me on Tiana, where she can be good, is really you're not playing her to be around multiple turns. You're playing her for 1 turn. You're taking one side, denying their hold point by playing the Tiana, and then you're winning the game on the next turn when it comes by holding when it comes back to you. But it just feels really narrow. It feels really narrow for this card to be good.
Effect.
Yeah, and it's just that's not good enough for me. Thanks so much, Priz, for joining us on this review. Prismat, where can the people find you if they want to learn more about your Riftbound journey?
They can find me on twitch.tv/Prismat. I stream mostly online tournaments. I'm going to be doing some set 2-3 crafting in the future. And then they can also find me on metafy.gg/@Prismaticism. I published a Teemo guide recently. You can go check that out. And then I also offer coaching there.
And that is going to do it for the Calm Domain. So if you want to catch more of this series, please subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments down below. Let Priz and I know where we're wrong, what you think about these Calm cards, or what you agree with and what you expect to see out of Spiritforged. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next one.